This is your standard comparative advantage question that's going to ask you about per unit opportunity cost and which country has a comparative advantage. This comes from the 2004 macro exam, Form B. The AP macroeconomics exam has asked this sort of question 2 or 3 times the last 10 years. The AP microeconomics exam hasn't really asked these sort of comparative advantage questions on fair responses, but it's definitely on a multiple choice. Let's get to work. This fair response has already set you up for the way I explained it earlier in the video lessons for Unit 1. We've got 2 countries, Newland and Beeland. They're producing 2 different things, cloth and food. The first step to answering these questions is figuring out the per unit opportunity cost. Per unit opportunity cost is if Newland makes 10 cloth and 2 food, how much does each 1 cloth cost? How much does each 1 food cost? That'll put things in like terms and help you figure out which country has a comparative advantage. So let's do that before we answer any of the actual questions. For Newland, 1 cloth costs a certain amount of food. Well, other goes over is 1/5 of a food. For Newland, 1 food costs a certain amount. It's 5 cloth. If you don't remember how to do this, go ahead and watch the video lessons from Unit 1. For Beeland, 1 cloth costs 1/10 of a food, and each 1 food costs 10 cloth. Now let's actually start answering the questions. For Newland, 1 cloth costs how much food given up? Well, for Newland, 1 cloth costs exactly 1/5 of food. For AII, Beeland for each 1 food, Beeland for 1 food gives up exactly 10 cloth. You get that? Now time for B. Which country has a comparative advantage in the production of cloth? Well, which one should specialize in cloth? The one that has the lower opportunity cost. That means they have a comparative advantage. Well, for cloth, 1/10 is less than 1/5. So I'm going to circle this one. Beeland should produce cloth. There's your answer, Beeland. Now, which country has a comparative advantage in the production of food? Well, looking at food, the one with the lower opportunity cost. In this case, Newland is the one has the opportunity cost. There's the answer. Now, for all these comparative advantage questions, the country will never have a comparative advantage in both products. That's not how it works. They can have an absolute advantage in both products, but they won't have a comparative advantage in both. So once I knew that Beeland has a comparative advantage in production of cloth, I knew automatically that Newland automatically has a competitive advantage in the production of food. Now it's to the last part, question C. If in Beeland productivity triples, right, we're going to get some new numbers. That means this would go up to 30, and this would increase up to 3, right? Productivity has tripled. Now in that scenario, who has a competitive advantage in the production of food? Well, it's still Newland. Now this question says explain, and so you have to write because and explain how you got that answer. Notice that even though productivity has tripled for Beeland, the per unit opportunity cost is still the same. So Beeland still has a lower opportunity cost in the production of cloth, and Newland still has a lower opportunity cost in the production of food. Alright, that's it. This question was out of 6 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Add it up, see how you did. Try the next fair response. Let's get to work. Let's spit on the screen.